Okay, thank you. Let me explain how this is going to work. Don't make me close the bar. Did you hear how quiet it got? Okay. First of all, I'll tell you who's being inducted, and you don't applaud yet. And then I'll tell you about the inductees' accomplishments, and then I'll tell you their name, and then you applaud. If it's you who's being introduced, you come up front, but you start over there with Sharon. She's going to give you, don't applaud yet. Remember I said that? Okay. Oh, that's okay. Sharon's going to give you your plaque and pose with you for a souvenir photo. So if you have an inductee and you want to take their picture, that's a great time to do it. Then you come over here. You can bring your plaque with you if you want. I'll move the flower. You can set it down on the corner of the table if it would be in your way. You get your plaque. You got your picture. Keep your comments within the time frame. And I think Jeff gave you that. I think it was 40 seconds. Wasn't it, Jeff? Whatever Jeff sent you, please do that. When the person's all done thanking all of us, we will applaud for them again, and we'll applaud twice for the same person. When you're exiting from here, you go that way. You can take your plaque back to your table with you so you can show everybody at the table how successful you were and make them wish that they were you. And Sharon's going to give you a gift also. Now, if you're not one of the people up here talking, you're welcome to take as many pictures as you want. You're not going to get in anybody's way. That's not a problem. And at the very end of the evening, all the inductees will come up here with their plaques. They'll get up on the stage, and we'll take like one giant team picture. And that's when you return this plaque that goes up in the hallway at the high school. And then you can see Jeff and arrange if you want to get a copy of the plaque for everybody who's at your table. It's about $900, I think. Some of the details I'm not clear on, but that'd be pretty good. Okay, so we all set? All right, let me tell you briefly about three of our inductees who were not able to be with us this evening, but you can read about them in your packet. And that's Susie Lejanowski, Phil Metz, and Sinisha Ubi-Parpovic. I'm not sure what Phil and Susie are doing. Sinisha is playing soccer in Europe, and he has a game today that it's real hard to leave and say you're going to go back to your high school to accept something. But we'll make sure he knows about the evening. So we need a nice round of applause for them. And if you email them, you can email them that applause. Our first inductee is Pam Chrysler. See, nobody applauded. Don't. We're not applauding. That's just an alert. Don't make me clear the room. Okay, Pam has been part of Mentor High School since her graduation in 1974. Since then, she has become one of Mentor's biggest fans. She's a fixture at many Mentor High School games. She worked her first Mentor relays in 1972 and continued to add more roles throughout the years. More recently, she has become a very big part of the athletic department. She keeps time and announces at all the soccer games, spotter for the announcer at varsity football, keeps a scorebook at all boys and girls basketball, keeps time and announces for all boys and girls lacrosse, the announcer for the Mentor Meat Grinder District Wrestling, and the Mentor District Track Meets. Always willing to lend a hand and support the athletes of Mentor. She's become well known throughout the area, not only for her willingness to help and her friendship with many parents, athletes, coaches, alumni, and officials, but also her infamous candy bag. Please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Pam Chrysler.
It's not often that I'm at a loss for words, so I won't disappoint anybody tonight. This means a lot to me. I'm a very proud graduate of Mentor High School, and my time at the school was some of the best times of my life. And because of that, I enjoy a lot of the opportunities that I have today. So, with my thank yous, Ted and Jane Hieronymus, nicest couple in the world, Mr. H got me started on this journey. He was looking for volunteers my sophomore year in high school to work mentor relays. I volunteered, and I have never looked back because of that. So thank you, Mr. H, for all this. Don Goodman, who was our former assistant athletic director and my algebra teacher back in school, scary day, gave me a lot of the opportunities that I enjoy today. And because of Mr. Goodman, I got started in soccer, I got started in basketball, and so for him I have a lot of thanks. Rick and Nancy Danberg. Everything I know about announcing I learned from Rick. So you can thank him or blame him however you see fit with that. I wish Tom Davidson was here with us tonight. He was my good friend. We spent a lot of time together in the press box. We missed him every home game, so I wish Tom was here. And I wish my dad was here. Dad started taking me to football when I was in first grade. I watched mentor football. I remember Rick Albus playing and the great teams from back then. And my dad always took me no matter where it was. I mean, we went to Baldwin Wallace every year for a game because we used to play back then. And he was a strong mentor supporter. He was a proud graduate of mentor also. Tonight would make him very happy. All my friends who are here tonight, everybody at my table, everybody who came to watch me tonight, as I've always said, my friends are my family. I would be lost without them. Thank you guys for being here tonight. It means a lot. Athletic directors, past and present. My job is to make athletic directors crazy, and I'm really good at it. Jeffrey is shaking his head because he knows it's absolutely true. But I hope that I make their jobs a little easier by being where I am. Thank you. To all the coaches who are here, all the coaches past, all the coaches present, I understand the coaches are the people who nominated me tonight, but I never did get names. So thank you to all the coaches for all that you do and for making my job really easy. And lastly, the kids. We all do this because of the kids. I've been very, very fortunate to see a lot of amazing athletes come through Mentor High School. And I'm proud to have a small part in their athletic careers and their lives and watch them grow up into fine young people. So thank you for tonight, thank you for this honor, and thank you very much.
Our next inductee is Paul Berger. Paul was a football player and wrestler, earning 3 varsity letters in each sport. He was a linebacker on the 03 playoff team, earning him first team All-Ohio honors his senior year. As a wrestler, Paul was a 2-time state placer, finishing 5th as a junior, 3rd as a senior. Career record of 115, 20, and 27 with 364 takedowns, 59 falls. He scored 496 match points for the Cardinals over the course of his career. Please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Paul Berger.
I didn't want to forget anybody, so I wrote everyone's name down. Giving speeches is not my talent, so bear with me here. First of all, I want to thank the committee. Thank Pam Kreiser actually for nominating me. That was awesome for her, and thanks for the committee, who I just found out today who it was, for choosing me. And by the way, I have a guest down there. Doesn't even live here. All right, so I'm just gonna go down a list. This is bullet points. First of all, I want to thank my mom for forcing me to play football. For everyone that's close to me that knows this, I'm kicking and screaming, terrified of that I'd get hurt. And she dragged me down to my neighbor's house, who was the commissioner of the league, and forced me to sign up for a team. It turned out to be one of the greatest things that ever happened. It's been played for 15 years, and it's a good time. Again, going down the list, I want to thank Don Schutz. Don Schutz was when we were in 7th grade. We had a lot of talent coming up on our team, and Triv recognized that, and he took some coaches that were normally be head coaches of other teams, other schools, and Don was the type of person who stepped down from being a head coach and became a 7th grade coach. He helped us grow. We moved up 7th, 8th, 9th, and then eventually became a high school coach. He was very good at relating to the kids. He made it fun without, expectation of being great. He didn't get mean. He didn't yell. He just, pushed you to give everything that you had. So thanks to Don. He's not here. Doug Baker was a wrestling coach, 7th and 8th grade. He was my teacher, social studies, and I was going to play basketball, and I'm pretty short, so that doesn't work out too well. So he asked me to come out to the wrestling team, and I just said, why not? He did a very good job at, again, trying to make the sport fun. Didn't push you when you're 7th and 8th grade. You don't want to be drilled, and especially when you're in a new sport. And he kind of just, if you realize you didn't want to be pushed, he didn't push you. But if you enjoyed the sport, he pushed you, and it kept me going. And so I kept with the sport, and eventually it became one of my good, fun things, talents. Coach Skilton, the head wrestling coach at Menor High when I was there. Coach Skilton did great things for the program while I was there. When we first started up, we used to practice behind the bleachers. Actually, we had to push the bleachers back, roll back the mats, wash them, roll them up every day, push the bleachers back. We're kind of the outcasts of the school. He worked really hard at trying to get our numbers up, getting people out for the sport, getting support for the sport, and then eventually built us a new room where the automobile shop used to be. And now it's actually another gym, which is pretty cool. So, again, he did great things. Sticking with wrestling, Keith Pollock. Keith's back there. My senior year, I didn't have a lot of people in the room. This kind of sounds arrogant, but I didn't have a lot of people in the room to wrestle with that were very good, my size. And Keith used to stay back after practice every day and work with me individually because everyone knows Keith's ridiculous. He's already in the Hall of Fame. So every single day he stayed after and put extra time in with me to help me get better. And, that was a big help. Coach Capel. Coach Capel, who's now the head coach, but was my personal coach, was just an assistant at the time. He picked me as his wrestler when I was in 10th grade. He became, more of a coach, but more of a friend. And when I was a sophomore, I got hurt at the district meet. It was my match to go to state against a pretty good kid. I thought I blew out my knee. Actually, I'm freaking out about that. But it was actually just an ankle. And Coach Cable carried me off the mat and took me to the training room. And that's when I really bought into everything. He was going to teach me. He was going to pull me in. And I would really say he taught me almost everything I knew about wrestling. His whole thing was to make me wrestle like a lightweight, even though I was an upper weight. So I, hit all these like low singles and stuff like that. For those of you in the wrestling family. So I'll move on to football now. Coach Funk. Coach Funk's an extremely talented defensive mind. He outthinks most people when it comes to defense. He continues to change every year depending on what talent he has, linebackers, defensive, ends, whatever it is. He changes his defense up, which is extremely difficult to do, especially at the high school level when people aren't at that level of thinking. High school kids, it's very hard for them to get schemes, and he's very good at putting that on. And one of the main things that makes him do that is that he's a perfectionist. He strives perfection in everything he did when it came to the defense. And the reason he gets that out of his kids is I put this on here is I asked him one time about being a head coach because he has the talent, he has the knowledge, he had the ability to be a head coach. And he told me he had no desire to be a head coach because he loved what he did. He loved coaching defense, and that's how you get kids to buy in and be perfect, like he strove. Next on the list, Coach Triv. I guess I guess talk about Coach Schiff. Is he understand? I guess this is what I always tell everyone who doesn't know you, because a lot of people ask about Mentor, because Mentor's, stud program now. They ask about you, and I say he understands what being a head coach is. When we were there, and I don't know how much the past or whatever, but he surrounded himself with just one of the most amazing coaching staffs ever. We had so much talent at the coaching level, so many people who could be head coaches, who could do that, and he kind of rounded that group up, and it was just amazing. And then the other things is he really inspired the team to work together. A history of Mentor was going to Lake, going to Ed's, leaving. Mentor was this, got trampled over. And one of the things that made him great at that is he loves to live in this town. He loves this town. He always stresses that. Stay in Mentor, be a champion. I think that was the quote. Which made people buy in, which made us good. So, in closing, I just wanted to try and recognize as many people as I can. Well, actually, I take that back. Actually, I didn't even talk about my family at all, but that's probably bad, or my girlfriend. So thank them and her family. For all you guys who know me, Kelly McCloskey, we've been together for 10 years, so thank you for being supportive. And her family for being around forever and since high school. My family. But in closing, I was just say I'm lucky to have these people in my life, and everyone that I couldn't mention individually, thank you, and everyone that I did mention, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm here because of you guys. Thanks.
Our next inductee is Bill Burke. It's like high school graduation all over again, isn't it? Okay, Bill was a three-sport athlete, earning letters in wrestling, track, and cross country. Most of Bill's accomplishments came on the wrestling mat. His .920 winning percentage is the third best in Mentor wrestling history. He's a two-time state placer, a three-time News Herald All-County team member, a first-team All-Greater Cleveland Conference member, and was the MHS Most Valuable Wrestler in '76. He was a member of the '75 team that finished sixth in the state and was Greater Cleveland Conference co-champs. Please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Bill Burke.
I'm really surprised they found me, but I'm here. But I want to thank the selection committee for finding me and remembering the 1970s. The 1970s was a great era to be a Mentor athlete. It was an era of big families. I was one of 10 kids. I had 9 brothers and 1 sister. And it was a great era for great Mentor coaching. I was blessed to be coached by the legendary Coach Schoner, sitting over here, who's in the Hall of Fame. My family was part of 2 legendary wrestling teams at Mentor High School, 1973 and 1975, the 2 best teams that ever wore that Mentor uniform. And some of my best memories, warming up at the district finals and the state finals with my wrestling partner, John Romeo, a memory I'll never forget. But for me personally, it was, I want to thank my parents. We had 10 kids, and my dad, he created the environment to excel in sports. He hand built a 20-foot high pegboard. We'd climb that thing so many times as kids, we'd fall out of it. He put a wrestling mat in our basement, handmade. It was basically carpet padding, so we wouldn't tear my mother's living room apart. We would literally big time wrestle and just beat on each other. But we kept feeding. My family kept feeding Mentor High School with athletes after athletes after athletes. And for me personally, one of the best things that I remember about Mentor sports was putting on that uniform 3 times as a lowly sophomore, lettered in 3 sports, and just putting on that Mentor uniform was, for me, was so much pride. Putting on those colors and competing for Mentor. Wrestling for Mentor was a privilege and an honor. We were the St. Ed's of the 1970s. There was no St. Ed's back then. Maple Heights and Mentor was the baddest teams of that era, and we were feared. My senior year, we knew we were tough because they booed us at the sectionals because we won it so many times. We won it 3 out of the last 4 years. And we had the best coach sitting in our corner, sitting over there. And you knew he had your back. And to this day, I still call him Coach. And it was an honor and a privilege to wrestle for him. And I want to thank my dad, who cannot be here, for giving us the opportunity to do this. And I want to thank my family, all my wrestling brothers and the athletes in the family, for being part of this. And I want to thank the selection committee. I want to thank Coach Schonar, Coach John Goodwin, our athletic director Frank DeMocas, and all the other great coaches, Coach Coogan Reese. It was a phenomenal era. It was a phenomenal time to be a Mentor athlete. And I really enjoyed it. And thank you so much, especially Jeff. Thank you.
The inductees need to make sure they pick up their free gift because they have your name on it, and there's nothing else we can do with them. Okay. All right, our next inductee is Brittany Lawrence. Brittany, don't make me clear the room. One of Brittany's finest, she's one of Mentor's finest soccer players. Brittany had career stats of 50 goals, 30 assists, and 130 total points. A 2-time All-Lake Erie League player and a 3-time first-team All-Greater Cleveland member. She was a first-team All-Ohio player her junior and senior years, member of the 2000 and 2001 regional runner-up teams. Please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Brittany Lawrence.
Yikes. Okay. I'm a little nervous, so please bear with me.
Go, Brittany!
Okay. I would first like to thank the committee for selecting me to be inducted in the 2013 class. And not to mention Pam for nominating me. I feel so honored, and I'm so grateful. To be honest, I was on vacation with my family when I had received the call, which I had missed, and I was in shock. And I had found myself listening to the voicemail about 3 or 4 times to make sure that I had heard correctly, all while fanning myself and jumping up and down, and yes, I even cried. See, for me, my soccer career wasn't only just 4 years. I had begun playing soccer since I was 3 years old. Soccer for me had got to the point when I was older my weekends were not complete unless I was playing on multiple teams and playing at least 5 to 7 games a weekend. And then my freshman year had quickly approached, and I remember the first day of tryouts and seeing all the girls there, and I remember I was terrified. And as tryouts had came to an end, and we had to wait in the gym until our fate was decided, which felt like an eternity, finally, it was my turn, and I was told that I was selected for the varsity team. But not only was I selected as a freshman, I was the only freshman. And on top of that, I was a starter. I was still scared and nervous out of my mind until one of our pre-game meetings. See, our pre-meetings were these meetings before each game, and at the end, the coaches would turn off the lights, and we'd close our eyes, and we'd begin to sit still while they walked us through the game. It was a way to get us pumped and motivated. During the first meeting of the first game, the upperclassmen kept laughing and screwing around. So I spoke up and said something like, "Hey, it's time to get serious." And the coaches sort of laughed and were like, "Was that freshman that just said that?" So speaking of coaches, Sadly was a big contributor to my success. He believed in me from the beginning. of my career and pushed me every bit of the way. And I am forever grateful. Thank you so much. Also, my family, I owe a big thank you to. My family was there for me every step of the way, and at times was sitting on the sidelines, rain, shine, and sometimes even snow. But my biggest fan would have to be my dad. My dad was there every game and every practice since I was 3. My dad made it possible for me to become the player that I was. For our soccer tournaments that took us all over the country, to even the opportunity to play in England and Scotland. My dad worked so hard to get me to where I needed to be, no matter where it was. I'm the luckiest daughter to have such an amazing father that was such an amazing supporter, but not to mention my biggest fan. Thank you, Dad, and I love you. And thank you again to the committee for this incredible award that allows me to hang on the wall with the other great athletes that have come through Mentor. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Margie Milcrite. Margie earned varsity letters in tennis, volleyball, basketball, and track. She was named MHS Outstanding Athlete of the Year in 1982. Her volleyball teams qualified for the regionals twice. Basketball teams qualified for the regionals 3 times during her career. In track and field, she was a district qualifier in the 800-meter relay and competed in the 100-meter hurdles, 100 meters, 200 meters, and 400-meter relay. She was named Telegraph Track and Field Outstanding Performer for the season and won conference awards in the 400-meter relay and the 100-meter hurdles. Please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Margie Milcrite.
I'm just curious to know how many people in here actually remember the Telegraph. Not that many. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to the Mentor High School Athletic Department and also to the Hall of Fame committee. You know, it's kind of interesting to walk into this room tonight because there's so many people that I didn't actually even recognize. So first of all, I'd like to thank those people for coming up to me and actually introducing yourself to me because I was fairly clueless. So thank you very much. And also, too, it's actually nice to see some of the folks that I went to school with, and actually one of my former neighbors, Steve. It's good to see you. Doing a great job. Thank you. It's very interesting that I'm even standing here today because things got off to a very rocky start from day one. And I have my family to thank for being up here today, especially my parents. Starting off, first of all, as an orphan, and then second of all, being taken into their home and having them discover that I potentially would never be able to walk normally. And those two people really made it such an impact in my life and gave me every single opportunity that they possibly could give me to be up here today. And I don't even know how to say thank you. And you know, it's just amazing what they could give me and my brother, who's also here tonight, thank you, and also a Mentor grad. Those two folks would pick my brother and I up after either an explosion at home or a concussion or a sprained ankle or another concussion or us fighting with each other or whatever it may be. They didn't really quite know what they were going to find between the two of us. So I don't think that I ever really valued while I was going through this process at the time. I just wanted what I wanted. I wanted to play 3, 4 sports. I guess I couldn't decide how many I wanted to play. And I never really knew, and I never really saw the sacrifice that went on. So I think I still to this day probably give them still pause for concern through all the triathlons and the bike rides and everything that I'm doing now. So I just need to say a big thank you to them. And even while I was going through this, being considerably younger than my brother, and the introduction of his wife, Barb, always a very kind word. I mean, believe me, I was always into something coming home. And always, like, how'd you do? How's it going? And I think, eventually it was just sort of like, it had gotten to the point where it was like, so what are you doing now? And, so it was just, it's just really nice to be supported in that. So that's kind of where I got my start. And then, kind of going through the whole mentor school system, somebody, talked about before just being really proud to put on a mentor uniform. In fact, when I had to return a jacket back, to the athletic department, I wore it back to the athletic department, and Mr. Demokis at the time stopped me in the hallway, and he goes, "That's not yours to keep, And I was actually, I didn't want to take it off. I wanted to wear it actually back to the office. I said, "Don't worry, Mr. Demokis, I'm taking it back right now." And I was really proud. The other thing that was interesting to me, I had one of my mentors along the way say to me, because I was kind of struggling with something that was going on in one of my teams. And at the time, of course, I was so competitive and I wanted to be the best. And one of the lessons that I learned at the time through one of my mentors was, there's more than one position out on that floor. There's room for more than one person, okay? It's not all about just you. And that was one lesson that I took with me out of school and into life, and what I'm doing now in my work, in a hospital, working with people for people. It's not just about me wanting to be the best person on that floor. We're a team and we're helping people. And that's one thing that athletics did for me, was it showed me teamwork. It showed me in whatever that I'm doing. It isn't just about sports and who's going to win and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. It's setting the table for what else we're going to do in life and what else we're going to strive to do. And, of course, it does come down to all about winning. We know that. But along the way, I credit all of the coaches and all of the teachers and all of the people who have dedicated their lives to sacrificing their evenings and their weekends and their family time to working with the kids that are out there now who are struggling with all of the issues they're struggling with, the bullying, the fitting in, the lack of acceptance. You all have a place now, just as you did with me. And you made an impact with me back then, and you still are making that impact. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody, and congratulations to all the other athletes.
Our next Hall of Fame inductee is Len Pagan. Len was an outstanding midfielder for the boys soccer team. During his career, he was a Greater Cleveland All-Star, News Herald Player of the Week twice, News Herald All-Star, and team captain his senior year. During his senior year, he was also named Greater Cleveland Conference Player of the Year and was a first-team All-Ohio selection. Len is also, I believe, he's our first two-time inductee. He was inducted into the Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame also a few years ago. And now he's going into our Sports Hall of Fame. So please welcome Len Pagan.
Wow. I'm extremely flattered and honored. I was thinking back, and it was 33 years ago that I first set my foot on the soccer fields with Coach Makar in preparation for high school soccer. And surprisingly and impressively, I have to say that Tom, Coach Mackar, hasn't changed a lot. He looks just as great as he did then. Even his hair was about the same color. There's a little gray in there. But then again, my hair, as you can see, was thick and dark and flowing. And by the way, this hairstyle was not representative of the early '80s. I think this hairstyle went out of style in late 1950s. Thank you, Coach, for nominating me for this. As I mentioned, I'm very touched and honored. I learned a lot from Coach, and actually some of my times playing soccer with Coach in high school. And for the mentor soccer program were by far, other than girls, was by far some of the best experiences that I had in high school. But I learned a lot, and some of those things, as was mentioned earlier, you're learning things and you don't even know that you're learning them. I learned, early on. I was a sophomore first coming in. I had aspirations to play varsity. They gave you these jerseys that had a red side and then a gray side, and I started. Coach noticed that I had a little bit of talent, and I started practicing with the varsity as a sophomore. And one day I forgot that stupid jersey, and he put his arm around me. He goes, when you're ready, and you can have responsibility to remember that jersey. I'm like, well, I forgot it. My mom's washing. He goes, I don't care. So for the next week or two, I was practicing with JV. And I did learn excuses didn't matter. Actually, Coach always had these little quotes. He said, "Well, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, then every day would be Christmas." It was a Sam Rutigliano he'd have on the other side, who he got the quote from. And later I learned humility when I started playing with varsity, and I learned how to do this handspring throw-in, and so I could do. Like a flip throw, I could throw the ball like 40 yards, 45 yards. I learned how to do from another guy older than me, Bill Crowley. And but when I would score a goal, I would scream like a madman down the field, and I just would be like screaming, and I'd do handsprings all the way back down to midfield. And after a couple of times of Coach watching me do this absurd behavior, he put his arm around me again. He goes, "Len, you know how you do those handsprings and you get real excited?" He goes, "Don't do that." He said, "Act like you've been there before. Act like you did that. You've scored goals before." And again, you take it to heart, and you learn humility and being humble. And so, thank you, Coach, for all the after practice time that you spent with me. We just he'd had his little magnet board and this quirky little orange car that he had his bag of balls in, and I just enjoyed spending time with Coach. And then I'd also like to thank my parents who are here, who collectively really nurtured a lot of drive within me. And I'd like to share a quick story, a little anecdote of a key moment. I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I had signed up for this program at the Menor Beach Park, right by the lake. They had a Saturday program where you could actually take guitar lessons. So I signed up for these guitar lessons. And I went there, and after a couple of weeks, the first thing you're working on is playing the scales, and you're kind of going up and down the scales. And my parents were interested to see what progress I was making, and this is epitome of this nurturing the drive. And so I sat down with them, and I'm playing through it. My small 9 or 10-year-old fingers, barely strong enough and big enough to squeeze out some good notes. And I'm kind of working my way through it and stumble little ways, but I had definitely made some progress. And my mom. I look up as I'm done watching my fingers playing the scales, and my mom, looked like Elvis Presley had just played for her, and very approving, and I could do nothing wrong. Very like, wow, that was fantastic, son. And my father had a different kind of measured response. He sort of said, that's pretty good, and good job, son. He goes, but if you practice enough and you practice consistently every day. He goes, you should be able to play forwards and backwards and do it without looking at your fingers, and make your fingers dance on the string. And initially I was kind of like put off a little bit, but I really internalized that. And so literally less than a week later, I went back to the lesson, after some additional practice, and I was playing the scales forwards and backwards. I wasn't looking at it. There was other adults that were in the class too, so I was running circles around a lot of the other students. And the instructor, I just remember saying, "Hey, everybody, do that next week." He goes, "Let me see that again." So I was just going up and down, and a little bit later in junior high, my father, I don't remember, I was frustrated by somebody, I think because I'm a little bit competitive, and I was frustrated by somebody, and my father said that, you're always going to have in life, people that are smarter, people that are faster, people that are stronger. He goes, but we're Slovenians, and Slovenians are grinders. We work hard, we bring our lunch pail to work every day. He goes, don't let anybody outwork you. He goes, you can control that. You can't do anything about what their genetics were, what talents they have, but you can control how hard you work. And so, shortly thereafter, different than Brittany, I started soccer late. You couldn't do that today. I started playing soccer when I was probably 13 or 14 years old. But I internalized a lot of that work ethic, and so I real quickly became known on Melshore as the kid that was always juggling the ball in the front yard. And initially I could do 10, and then 50, and then hundreds, and then I thousands, and then I would actually do it based on time. I would do it with my left leg, right leg. I could go up and down, from my foot to my thigh to my shoulder and back around. I had a bag of balls that I kind of collected, this old beat up bag of balls that I would go to Fairfax Elementary. They had this big high wall, this brick wall, and so I would just kind of kick, again, left foot, right foot, chip it, off, shots, bouncing shots, penalty shots. I just kind of go there. I would go on hot August days when the locusts are, hot August days. I would go on the rainy days, not every day, but I was consistent about it. And so I showed up to coach, and I remember one of the first interactions we had, and I asked about this Peter Jobling, who was inducted, I think the second class, and Peter was going to be practicing with us, and I said, Peter's going to be here, and I asked him something. I go, is he going to show us some stuff? He goes, yeah, he's going to show us how to, whatever. And I go, no, what I want to know, I know he can catch it on the back of his neck. I want to learn how to do that. And Coach went like, just kind of a surprise. So I want to thank specifically my mom, who's always been caring and loving and supportive, and approving no matter what I did and how I did, and then for coming to all my soccer games with that damn cowbell. I'd like to, thank my father for showing me the importance of family, hard work, and enjoying every day. And then I'd like to recognize and thank my sons, Nicholas, who graduated from Mentor, Adam and Mike, who attended Mentor schools, and for being sons that I'm extremely proud of. And putting up with me when I was working real hard at work over the last 15 or 20 years. And then finally, I'd like to thank my beautiful love of my life, Kata, of 27 years, for mainly keeping my ego in check, which was her primary job that she self-assigned herself, and then reminding me when my work ethic got a little bit out of whack. So thank you.
I don't think now a coach could put his arm around the player, could he? Let me tell you this, okay. Okay, our next inductee, Bob Civic. Bob is a 3-year varsity player in basketball for the Cardinals, earning News Herald honorable mention. On the football field is where Bob truly made his mark. He was a Lake Erie League scholar athlete, a member of the All-Lake Erie League defensive first team, a 2-time member of the Lake County Touchdown Club first team, honorable mention Division I All-Northeast District, and plain dealer and News Herald first team. He was named Lake Erie League MVP in '96, as well as being co-captain of the Cardinals the same year. After Mentor, he went on to play at Youngstown State University, where he was a member of the 1997 Division I AA National Championship team and the '99 Division I AA National Runner-Up team. Please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Bob Civic.
Thank you. First, did want to say thank you to the committee. Really an honor, truly blessed to be here, and I know my family's pretty excited for me too. I'd like to thank a few coaches along the way who meant a lot to me. Not that all of them didn't, but a few in particular. Dr. Heller from Ridge, certainly a remarkable person, taught me a lot along the way. Coach Parsons, who I think is top-notch coach, I know is still involved. Coach Pavlansky, who was my coach, taught me a lot through the years, about being a man, about understanding the importance not only of what goes on in the football field, but in life. Coach Triv, who we only had 1 year with, is my first year, but I think you truly knew that he was destined for great things, and coming back, being a Mentor Cardinal, I know means a lot to me, means a lot to alumni, and every day I'm at work, I feel like I'm breaking my buttons in my shirt, sticking my chest out so much because we're so proud of what he's doing. And Coach K. On top of the world right now, right? Congratulations on a state championship. And I'll share a quick story about Coach K. We had always come off of football, and then you go into basketball season. And some of us, being football players, you put on a little extra weight. And you get into this open gym and practice, and the next thing you know, you're a little slow and everyone's a little bit faster than you. And I can tell you that it's probably one of the stories that when my crew gets together, we constantly talk about. But I love the progression. If you ever go to a basketball game of Coach K, first is his whole mafioso coaching staff with their black shirts, ties on there are great. Before the start of the game, Coach's jacket's off. Before you know it, his sleeves are rolled up. He always carries a cup of water, though, and that hand is just like going all over the place nonstop. But some of my favorite memories, even though I had a lot of success on the football field, came from being on the basketball court too. Another great coach who came actually afterwards, I just have to mention, you guys probably know him a little bit, Coach Jim Trussell was a huge part of my life. Didn't help me get in the Hall of Fame at Mentor, but certainly gave me a lot to learn, even after my years of Mentor. I'd hate to be up here and not thank all of my teammates. It was the reason why I did what I did. When I left sports, everyone asks me what I missed the most, and it's those conversations with teammates, or watching Pat Gilmore run around the locker room at two-a-days and tick everybody off. I want to thank my brothers, who one is in the Hall of Fame, Mike and Steve, and my sister-in-law Sarah, who's a Mentor grad. I'd like to thank my little sister Lisa. I won't thank her husband because he went to Lake Catholic. I want to thank two enormous role models in my life, my grandfather, my uncle, who have always been there for me. My wife, who's phenomenal. She's great. We just celebrated our 4-year anniversary, and I've never been happier. Her family, who came all the way out from Lorraine, so trekked it about an hour across the city. And then a story about probably one of the more influential people in my life the most is my mother. Some of you know her from being the librarian at Mentor. But I'd also say that I actually thought I was a pretty good, player growing up. I made the papers every now and again, the News Herald. They write about you all the time. And I used to go around and I think people recognized me in the town, and I'd be like, yeah, I think I know you from somewhere. I'm like, yeah, I play football and I play basketball and it's great. I was in the paper last week. And they're like, no. You're the cake lady's son. And I'm like, yeah, but as I've gotten older, it's a badge I wear with pride. But thank you. Even as I get older, I get more humble. I would not be where I am today without, obviously my coaches, without my mom. So actually, if I know we honored coaches, and I could honor my mom all day, but if we could for a second, coaches and parents of anybody who's being inducted today, if you could just stand for a quick second, hold your applause. Hold your applause. Coaches, any coaches and any parents, please stand. Hold your applause, hold your applause, hold your applause. All right, now if you could sit down, no clapping. If everybody else can stand up for a quick second, besides those people, get a little exercise today. Your parents and everybody else that have been through the years have given you plenty standing ovations. I think that our coaches and our parents need a great one today. Make no mistake, you're clearly the reason, I think, why we're here. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
I wonder where Bob Krzantz is working next year.
Like gambling.
Trev, you coach basketball too? Okay, our next inductee, Megan Scobie. Megan was an outstanding basketball and volleyball player. In volleyball, she was a two-time News Herald first team member, Plain Dealer All-Star. She was named to the Ohio High School volleyball coaches first team and set a school record with 277 single-season kills. In basketball, she was named to both the News Herald and the Plain Dealer first teams, also Plain Dealer MVP. She scored 1,730 career points and was invited to the USA Basketball Youth Development Camp Olympic Complex. She went on to play at the University of Iowa and scored over 1,000 points in her career in 4 years. Please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Megan Scobie.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? I'm really far away from the microphone. I mean, it's kind of low. I'll try to keep it as close to that 40 seconds as you mentioned before. I really only have a couple people to thank. I want to thank the committee for, letting me into the Hall of Fame. I have to thank my mother. My mother has been a really good influence. Not mother, my mom. She doesn't like when I call her mother. I have to thank my mom because she's wonderful. She supported me through this whole experience since I was a little kid. She's always been at every game that I can really remember. She made the trek out to Iowa a lot when I was at the University of Iowa. Drove me all around the country when I was young to basketball things and even when I played softball, my softball tournaments. And then I actually only started playing volleyball when I was in 7th grade. That was my first time when I was playing volleyball. I caught the eye of Mr. Woodman, who's here tonight. I have to say thank you to him because he was one of the best coaches I've ever had. He really pushed me in everything. So I think everyone can agree to that statement. I also have to thank someone who wasn't able to be here tonight, Coach Mark Chacon. He was by far the best basketball coach I've ever had. He pushed me to every ability. He made me the player I am today. And the rest of my family, I should thank them too. My dad, he was at a lot of games. He got thrown out of a couple games, but he was there. And I have to thank my brother and sister who had to put up with me for all those years. They came to a lot of the games and they had to live with traveling around the country and kind of living in that
lifestyle. Even though they didn't get to do everything that they wanted to do, they were always there, and they support me to this day. That's really all I have to say, and thank you very much.
Our next inductee is Jill Sluga. Jill was a 4-year soccer letter winner. She has career stats of 40 goals, 46 assists, and 126 total points for the Cards. She was named 3rd Team All-Ohio as a junior and 1st Team All-Ohio as a senior. She was a member of the 94 and 95 regional runner-up teams and the 96 and 97 state Final Four teams. Please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Jill Sluga.
It's an honor for me to stand before you here tonight as an inductee of the 2013 Mentor High School Athletic Hall of Fame. I'm truly humbled and blessed to be honored with this accomplishment. It is an achievement that I will cherish with great pride, so thank you to the committee. Being a part of Mentor Cardinals soccer and basketball program has had a significant influence on my life and has helped shape me into the person I am today. I will always treasure the memories and friendships I made with coaches and teammates during these years. There is no possible way I could stand up here tonight and thank everyone that played a role in my athletic and academic successes, but I would like to take this time to recognize some significant individuals for their love, support, and guidance. First, I would like to thank all of my high school coaches. In both soccer and basketball, the coaching staff taught me the fundamentals of the game, but also the meaning of hard work and dedication. A special thank you goes out to the head coaches, soccer coach Mark Sadley and basketball coaches Mark Jancola and Kevin Snyder. Soccer coach Mark Sadley is here tonight, and I would like to extend to him my gratitude for his commitment to the sport and to each player. I admire his enthusiasm and passion that he displayed at every practice and at every game. Next, I would like to thank my soccer and basketball teammates. I enjoyed being a part of team sports because of other individuals I was surrounded by. Everything seemed easier and attainable with the help and support of my teammates. I was blessed with wonderful teammates and friends throughout my high school career, and I want to take this time to thank all of those girls who inspired, pushed, and assisted me in reaching both team and individual goals. I loved being a part of team sports in high school, but I will be forever blessed to be a part of the incredible team that I know as my family, and they're over there at table 19. My most inspirational teammates are here with me tonight, and they are my older sisters, Danielle and Erin. They have always been my role models and my heroes. I have always looked up to both of them and relied on them countless times for support and guidance. Tonight I am joining my oldest sister, Danielle, who is already in the Mentor High School Hall of Fame for both soccer, basketball, and track. Danielle is a mother of 6 boys, yet always finds time and patience to listen to me. And I am so appreciative of Erin attending tonight because she was a teammate at both Mentor High and Ashland University, where we played soccer together. She was a senior when I was a freshman. If I did anything well, it was because I was trying to do it nearly as well as Erin. Erin was not only my greatest competition growing up, but she was always my biggest fan. My younger siblings were unable to attend tonight, but I must thank Dave, Adrian, and Jackie. I owe so much to all 5 of my siblings. They have always embraced me for who I am, flaws and all. They make me want to be a better person. They see the best in me and bring out the best in me. I could not ask for 5 better siblings and 5 better best friends. Lastly, and most importantly, I would like to thank my parents, Barb and Joel. I couldn't have chosen more perfect parents if given a million chances to get it just right. My parents taught me everything about the game of life. They have always been next to me through good times and bad times that I have experienced. They have always been there to encourage, console, and motivate me when I needed it most. I would not be where I am today without their unconditional love, support, and encouragement. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for listening anytime, believing in me every time, and for loving me all of the time. Thank you again for this tremendous honor.
Our next inductee is Todd Trimmer. Todd had a career high of 34 points in a game versus Bedford and left Mentor High School with a 19.3 points per game average. He also averaged 8 rebounds per game. He was named to the Plain Dealer First Team Greater Cleveland Conference Player of the Year, News Herald Player of the Year, Honorable Mention All-Ohio. After Mentor High, Todd continued his basketball career at Yale University. Please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Todd Trimmer.
Thank you very much. First of all, it's a huge honor to be inducted into the Mentor Sports Hall of Fame. I would also like to congratulate my fellow inductees. If you're as excited as I am about it, I know you're having a pretty good night. You know, it's pretty apropos and amazing that I'm being inducted this year in the wake of the unbelievable success and what the Mentor basketball program is going through right now. Living not in Mentor anymore, I live in Connecticut. I get in a lot of fist fights and a lot of arguments about how great Mentor basketball is versus the East Coast. And Coach K and obviously did a great thing for me by winning the state championship and allowing me to shut up all the guys that I work with. So just to be inducted as a basketball player this year with the basketball that's going on at Mentor High with Coach K and Justin Fritz being the Mr. Basketball, it's an amazing honor. It's amazing to be even kind of in the same breath with the amazing things that the program has gone through. A couple thanks that I need to make. My table over there is extremely representative of my life. I've got Coach Corcoran and Coach V. My coaches in high school are here with me tonight. Coach V, as an individual, worked with me, pushed me to levels that I didn't even think I could possibly get to. Made me work my butt off on the bank shot, introduced me to the bank shot, which no one did it back then. I know I'm not that old, but Coach Corcoran, he instilled in our team a desire to win and a desire to be the best that we can possibly be. Was the best coach that I've ever had. He actually kicked me off the team at one point, but that's a different story. My kids are here, so I can't tell that story. But you know, I thank you to Coach Corcoran, thank you to Coach V. Amazing influences on my life, and you know, a lot of the stats in the basketball and the memories are fantastic, and I'm still blessed to have all of my best friends are all guys from that team and guys that I grew up with in Mentor. But the life lessons that I've taken with me and hopefully the person that I am comes a lot from those two guys, and for them to be here tonight means a lot to me. I'd also like to thank, I got to thank Dennis, my man Dennis. We kind of had a little trio running in high school. It was me, Dennis, and Joe. And Dennis and Joe played football, and you know, I was the weird guy that played basketball. But Dennis and Joe are still to this day my best friends, and to have him here tonight is amazing. Joe gets a special mention because we were probably definition of brothers. We hated each other. We loved each other. We played. Just to share a quick story with you, he had an 8-foot hoop in his driveway, and as time kind of went on, I got to be a little bit better than Joe at basketball. So the rules changed a lot in his front yard. So we went from horse to shots to pig to one-on-one to tackle basketball. And I think from all of as Bob alluded to, you know, you're in the News Herald, you're in the Plain Dealer, you're in the headlines. It's the greatest thing in the world. And when you're in high school and you're playing at Mentor and you're in the paper, there's nothing better. I live in a town now that's supposedly a good sports town, And I try, when you're in Mentor and you walk in the streets and people know who you are, and it's the best thing in the world. It's still the best time of my life. But Joe would remind me all the time that I never won. No matter my picture was there, whatever. Tackle basketball. I mean, you look at the guy. He destroyed me. Went on to play at Indiana in football, so our own little a shout out to him because he made me tougher. He made me hate to lose because I lost all the time, and a special thanks to him. To my family, to have my kids here tonight in this honor. To me, I mean, I can't overstate to say that for me, this is like an amazing life achievement for me because basketball is my life. Basketball has given me everything. It gave me my college education. It gave me my job. I met the guy who hired me through basketball. It was allowed me to travel all over the world. It's been an amazing thing, and I'm very humbled by being accepted in here tonight, and to have my kids here to see it. And I've told them all the stories over the years of how great I am, and I don't. They're still young enough to kind of believe me. And so tonight is they're actually seeing that maybe I was okay, which is kind of cool. And to my wife, my bride of 13 years, we've had an amazing run, and hopefully that'll continue on. If I don't bore everybody to death with my speech, she'll talk to me later. I know I'm competing with the Browns game, so give me just 1 second. But to my mother, I was blessed growing up, and that my parents, my mother, my father, they were truly my best friends in the world. They pushed me. My mother pushed me. My mother was kind of the hard ass of the family, and would never, anytime I whined or cried or I didn't want to work hard or I didn't want to go to put the extra effort in, she was there kicking me out the door, making sure that I worked as hard as I could. And she's still my best friend, and she's over there at my table, and I love her dearly. So thank you, Mom. And to my father. My father passed away in May of last year. My father was by far my biggest fan. He would be very, very happy to be here tonight. He's a huge fan of Mentor. Well, my sister and I both went to Mentor High School, went through the Mentor Public Schools. My dad continued to go to all the games even after I went off to school. I played in 119 college games. I think my dad made 61 of them. I played in the Ivy League, so we played all over the country, and he was pretty good about picking spots. He ended up in Miami and Florida when we played them. I didn't know he was coming. We played Stanford. I didn't know he was coming. He was there. Gonzaga, he was there. All the good spots. Didn't make Cornell very much, but he to Dad. When Jeff called me to tell me, to give me the news, it was an amazingly flattering. It was kind of like a punch in the gut. All I could think about. It was kind of anticlimactic because I knew my father would really would have loved to be here and loved to be sitting there, and he would have been very proud, and not as much proud of just of me, but just of my friends and my team and my coaches and Mentor. I don't live in Mentor anymore, but there's not a second that goes by that I'm not amazingly proud and just so happy to have my roots here, and this is my home. My dad instilled that in me. He was a big mentor guy, as we say, and I am amazingly blessed to be inducted tonight, and very proud to say that to be part of Mentor is probably the best high school Hall of Fame there is, maybe in the country. I mean, this is we all know it. We're all proud of it. And I think Lenny alluded to the fact, when I put on the jersey, it was you were putting on the jersey for the entire city, and you represented the city, and to kind of be there now and to be into that wall is a tremendous honor. So I thank you guys very, very much.
Our next inductee is Ed Zinkowski. Ed was named All Northeast Ohio District, All Lake Erie League, and All News Herald throughout his basketball career. He scored 1,302 points and is the top of the list when it comes to scoring in school history. He was first team All Ohio as a senior, captain for the Cardinals. Please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Ed Zinkowski.
Try and keep this short and simple, but first, I'm very honored and proud to be accepted into the Mentor High School Sports Hall of Fame. I'd also like to congratulate everyone else that is being inducted tonight. I'd first like to thank my mom, my biggest supporter and #1 cheerleader. Wasn't always easy for her raising 4 children, especially me being the only boy and a little run in the family, always making her go away on the weekends to traveling basketball and all other sports. I'd also like to thank my grandparents who had a big influence on my life, especially my grandma who could not be here tonight, but always, she's always there for me, always there on the sideline trying to throw out her cane and hit the referee after a bad call. So just would like to say she's in my thoughts and she would love to be here. Also like to recognize my 3 sisters, my older sister Jen that's here tonight, for their support and care throughout my high school years. I'd also like to thank my teammates as well as my coaches, especially Coach K. Congratulations to you guys. Like Bob said, you guys are sitting on top of the world. With my parents being divorced, I look to Coach K as a father figure. Unfortunately, one of my first experiences with Coach K was 3 of us sophomores traveled down to Columbus for a summer camp, and the scenario was 2 seniors slept in, so we got to see a lot of playing time. However, we were down 2 points with about 15 seconds left, and my fellow sophomore Kyle Binns ended up grabbing a rebound off a free throw and put it in the opposition's hoop. Coach K, with just 10 seconds left, calls a timeout, and we go back to the huddle, and he just starts ripping him a new one. I've got my jersey over my head laughing. He's just driving the kid into tears. I'm like, I got to put up with this for the next 3 years. I don't know if I need to transfer or what, but you know what? Most respect. I love him. He's been a great inspiration to me. So thank you, Coach K. Like I said, thank you. It's been an honor, and congratulations to everyone tonight.
Next inductees, the 1989 volleyball team. 1989 volleyball is the first team in Mentor High School volleyball history to win a regional championship and compete in the state Final Four. The team lost to eventual state champion Reynoldsburg in the state semifinal in 3 closely contested contests. Their overall record was 25-4. On the way to states, they were the Greater Cleveland Conference, sectional, district, and regional champions. Speaking for the team is Coach Rich Woodman, and he'll introduce the players that are here. Please welcome to the Hall of Fame the 1989 volleyball team.
Good evening. I introduced the one team representative, which was our captain, Melanie Skolny. This was 24 years ago. So.
Thank you. You didn't have to say the numbers.
And then my assistant coach that was with me during that time was Mary Lynn Tonti, who was right here with me. And she's currently an art teacher at the high school still.
And a good volleyball.
The story is kind of, I don't want to get too long-winded here because it's been a long night, but I started coaching in 1987. Prior to that time, I was coaching 7th grade volleyball. And of course, volleyball at that time was a fledgling sport because women's athletics only began in like 1976 in the state of Ohio. So in 87, I was kind of, the really neat thing about this team is that when I started coaching at Memorial Junior High and with 7th graders, Melanie was a 7th grader. And during that time, I coached there, then I went back to college, got my master's degree, came back, and I was still coaching a volleyball team at Memorial that year. And Mel was a 9th grader at that time. And then the year after that, I got hired as the head coach at the high school, and she became a sophomore. And came to the high school, and I put her on the varsity team immediately because I knew of her ability at that time, along with a number of other girls that were playing, who had played with me before that. So it was kind of a cool thing. And but I didn't know what I was doing, and because I had never coached at that level before. And but as all the wonderful coaches that are here, Lenny Taylor, Triv, Bob, John Corcoran, who I see over there, is a colleague of mine from a long, long time ago. They all have the drive to be the best you can possibly be. And hence Mentor has a reputation that does across the board in many, many, many sports. So I have that kind of personal drive as well. I'm very competitive. And so I tried to learn everything I could. And the first year we made it to the district semifinal, and we had tied for the GCC that year with a record of 13-1, but we lost to Euclid, who we had tied with in the conference. And then the next year we were 25-2, won the district, and went to regionals and lost to Leary in the semifinal, the regional. And that year we had quite a strong senior class, so the only varsity starter that was returning technically on the floor was Mel. So the next year we came back, and so we had a very, very young team, and kids had been on the team the year before but didn't play very much, and we had a lot of work to do. And we ended up winning the GCC with a 14-0 record, and it's a tremendous tribute to the kids on that team. I can name every single one of them to this day, which is a remarkable thing because I can't remember like everybody on the last team I coached in 2007. So I think it just says something about your memory too, and how impactful that time was for me personally as a coach and as a person working with young people. And then we went to regionals, and we upset a team in the regional semifinal. And then we played Brecksville, and I can remember this distinctly. We won 16-14 in the third game for our first time ever going to state. And it was an ecstatic moment, I think, for everybody that was associated with the program, for me, for Mary Lynn, for the kids, for the parents of the kids. And we went to Dayton, and the funniest thing about this is that we're playing at the Dayton Arena at University of Dayton in the state semifinal, and we were playing Reynoldsburg, who has had this like national reputation, and they had every kid on their team was 6 foot or bigger. And they came out in their warm-up, and there's a certain technique or a play in volleyball called a one ball in the middle, which was not done very much back then, 1987. Today it's just as common as can be. But they would set their middle hitter, they would set every kid on their team in the middle, one ball, one ball, one ball, one ball, and these kids were just pounding the ball through the net. And I turned around to Mary Lynn and I said, "We are going to get killed." So this is going to be over real fast. I mean, we had people get one balls, but not like that. And we didn't even have a 6 footer on our own team. And the first game, and they had a huge cheering section there, and we came from Northeast Ohio, and actually the school, about 200 kids came down on a bus. And so we're getting ready to play, and the first game I think we lost 15-11. And so I said, we're hanging in there pretty well. The second game we won 15-11. And everybody was like, "Oh my God, they just beat the greatest team in Ohio right now. And we hung in there in the third game, and then we had a breakdown in the middle of the game. We ended up losing 15-4, but that team went on to win the state title that year. So, but it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I mean, for me, obviously, going there for the first time, it's like, oh my God, you're like a deer in the headlights, like what's going on here. But it set the stage for, I think, the development of the program over 20 more years. And they're the first team ever to make it to the state final, or to the state final four. We did it 4 more times after that over a 20-year span. And we were perennial powers in Northeast Ohio and the state of Ohio for many, many years. So I attribute a lot of this to the success of those early teams, and especially the 1989 team who led the way for the future. So thank you very, very much.
Okay, our final inductees of the evening, 2004 varsity baseball team. 2004 baseball team finished the season as state runner-ups. On the way to the second place finish in the state, they were Lake Erie League, district, and regional champions with a 30-4 overall record. Team finished 5th in batting average, 1st in runs scored, and 1st in total hits in team history. Team was also 3rd in team history in overall earned run average and strikeouts. What we'll do is we'll have the players who are here come up and introduce themselves, and then Jake Sankel will speak for the team. So please welcome to the Hall of Fame the 2004 varsity baseball team. Tell everybody who you are.
The best job in the world.
I am Tom Doty.
Billy Mustard.
Yay!
Mickey Sparrow.
Jake Sankel.
Matt Lee.
Evan Hurley.
Evan.
Denver Wolf.
All right, so I was trying to figure out what to say to speak on behalf of the whole team, and so I asked 2 people what to say, and I talked to Coach Taylor first, and he said, Jake, just speak from your heart, you'll do great. And then I asked my dad, and he said, Jake, just keep it short. So I'm gonna try to do a little bit of both here. I want to start by thanking the coaches. First of all, Wayne Reynolds was our pitching coach. I didn't have a ton of interaction always with Coach Reynolds, but I had a little bit because I was a catcher. And the one thing that I always remember about him is he was always really prepared and really focused on what we had to do. And I remember going to state semifinals and state championship and sitting in the back of the bus and Coach Reynolds coming back and sitting down with me and going over the lineups of the team and how we're going to pitch to every guy. So, he always did the scouting and he was always on top of everything. Coach Cood was like everyone's favorite guy. He, I think, threw at least 10,000 pitches to us in the cage that year. He had the rubber arm, and I can tell you what, on the last day, he was throwing just as hard as the first day. So he put in a ton of hours with us, and we loved having him around. Coach Turkle, I don't believe is here, but I wanted to mention a couple things about him. Coach Turkle is another guy, like everyone's favorite guy. He was kind of the guy that after Coach Taylor chews you out, if you're practicing bad or doing something bad, Coach Taylor chews you out, and then you go over with Coach Turkle, and he makes you laugh a little bit, calms you down, and then says, hey, let's get back to business here. So I had a lot of interaction with Coach Turkle being a catcher. But Coach Turkle is great, and then I don't think he's here tonight, but I wanted to mention him anyways. And finally, Coach Taylor. There's 2 words that always come to mind when I think about Coach Taylor, and it's passion and intensity. And some of these guys that are up here also played football, and Coach Taylor was a football coach then as well. And if that him in the locker room before games, if that doesn't define the word intensity, then I don't know what does. But in baseball, you really saw his true passion out there. Like I said, he was an intense guy, but when it was game time, I don't think any of us ever felt like we were under a ton of pressure playing under him. So that's pretty hard to do, to be that passionate about something, but being able to back off and let your players play when it comes game time. So Coach Taylor did a great job with us. A couple things I wanted to say, just kind of highlights from the year. We had the most wins in school history with 30 wins. If anyone knows anything about high school baseball, you typically play 27 games in a year. So to win 30 games is pretty impressive. So these guys all obviously did a great job. We beat some big-time teams throughout the 2004 year, teams like Talmadge, Hudson, St. Ed's, which was a big revenge for us football guys. So that was a big one. In the playoffs, Austintown Fitch, and then Reynoldsburg. So we beat some really good teams. Out of this group, we had a lot of guys that went on to play college sports. Some played college baseball. We have one that is actually still playing professionally in Tyler Bordnick, who plays in AAA for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So hopefully we will one day be watching him on TV playing up there with the big league team. So, but even though we had a lot of great individuals, I think anyone that watched this team play or that was around this team knew that this team was everything but a bunch of individuals. I think the reason we played so well and went so far was because of our team chemistry. A lot of us played together starting when we were young. Some of us actually played together since we were 8 years old, all the way up through college summer ball. So from 8 to 22 years old, some of us played together. I actually want to throw this in there too. He didn't know I was going to say anything about him, but I wanted to thank my dad. He coached a lot of us, I think almost every one of us at some point throughout our careers from when we were 8 to 22 years old. So I said something to Coach Taylor beforehand about saying something about my dad, and he said, "Oh yeah, you got to say something about him." He said he taught you everything. I just tried not to screw you up. But I wanted to tell a couple stories about the season, and I think you'll kind of see how the team chemistry led us to where we eventually ended up. I want to kind of fast forward to where we started in regionals, where we played in the regional final game against Austintown Fitch, beat them 6-1 to go to state. So you can imagine how big of a game that is. Our baseball team hadn't won a regional title in 15 years. So there was a lot of pressure that game. And one of our unsung heroes who isn't here tonight, but Ryan Swaney, drove in 4 runs that game. So, he was a guy that didn't say a whole lot and just played great always. And, an unsung hero comes up with 4 RBIs in the regional title. So that tells you a little bit about our team. But we went on after that to play in the state semifinal against Reynoldsburg. This was actually a team that had a lot of guys that we had played against when we were younger. They were out of the Columbus area, obviously. And with travel ball and stuff, we played these guys all the time. And there wasn't many teams that did, but this team actually had our number all the way growing up. So this is a huge game for us. And the game, it started out with Tom Doty hitting the home run to put us up 1-0. And I'm pretty sure that ball still hasn't landed. Anyone that was there knows that was probably the farthest ball anyone's ever seen hit in high school history. But there's also a great picture that I just saw the other day actually on Facebook. I don't know where it came from or who has it, but it's a great shot. I think it was in the News Herald of as the ball is going out, you see everyone jumping out of the dugout with their arms up. And I mean, every player, every coach, all the fans, it's got everyone in the shot. It's a great picture. But one of the greatest parts of the picture, if you look in the far left corner, you got Coach Trevisano leaning back like this, about to fall over. It looks like he's going to have a heart attack. But that just shows you, how much passion and how much these coaches love Mentor and love Mentor sports. In that game, to go on in the state semis, it ended up being a 1-1 game in the final inning. We ended up pulling our starting pitcher, Brett Glavin, out, and Tom Abbott came in. Neither of those guys are here tonight, but it was a bases-loaded situation, 1 out. Our whole season's on the line, final inning. If they score a run, they win. And Tom came in, got 2 outs to end the inning, and then pitched 3 more scoreless innings, and ended up winning. We won the game. He got his 11th win. Like I said, you typically only play 27 games in a high school season, so for one pitcher to get 11 wins is absolutely unbelievable. But in that final inning, I think it kind of tells you what kind of team we were. Just unselfish, great team chemistry, like I said. Tyler Bortnick got on base. I believe moved over on an error. Denver Wolf sacrifice bunted him over, and then Billy Mustard hit a sac fly to win the game. So in that alone right there, you had a couple sacrifices. Just guys giving themselves up for the team, which is kind of what we were all about. We eventually went on and lost in the state final game to Cincinnati Moeller. But it was a great game, ran into a great team, and I think we'll always remember that day because we actually graduated from high school that morning. So it was kind of cool. We went right up through the line, graduated out the back door on the bus, and went and played in the state finals. So that was a special day for all of us. But the last story I wanted to tell about the season was, and it actually backtracks a little bit, but this kind of tells you what kind of team we were as well. Playing in the sectional final, so our first playoff game of the year, we were kind of the favorite, obviously, one of the top teams in the whole state, and we were actually playing my dad's team, East Lake North, and so this is our senior year, whole season's on the line. We had, I think, only lost 3 games at that point, won 25 games or something, so we were the high favorites in that game, but we were actually losing going into the final inning, and we had a guy on base. I believe the scenario went, we were down by 2 runs, a guy on base, 1 out in the final inning, and Tom Doty once again came up and hit a home run, which tied the game. We went on and played into 10 innings and won the game. So if it wasn't for the team chemistry that we had and being able to stay calm in those tough situations and being able to rely on the guy next to you, none of us would even be up here today. So that was a great moment. That kind of signified what we were as a team. So finally, I wanted to end with what we wanted to be remembered about as a team. So you can always debate who was the best team in school history, who went the farthest, who had the best record, and we'll kind of leave that up for debate for everyone else. But I think we would all agree that we want to be remembered as a team that started something special at Mentor. And I'm kind of echoing what we said about the 2003 football team when we got inducted a couple years ago. But I think right around 2003, 2004, something really special was happening in Mentor. And I think if you follow the teams now, you can see that it's still happening now. Mentor is become a powerhouse in sports. It's not only a great school academically, we have some of the great coaches around ever, and we've become a powerhouse. And I think that tradition that we've helped create is something we're all very proud of. Mentor has become a place where winning is now expected for every sport. Losing is not accepted. And at Mentor now, you don't just compete for league titles, but you always are competing for a state title. And for that, we're all very proud. Thank you.
Thanks, go ahead.
Just a few final comments here this evening. What a great night, and it's always exciting to have all these guys back here. And I really appreciate all the efforts, because obviously the Mentor Athletic Department that I see today wouldn't be the same without all the people here in this room. a couple thank yous that I have to make from my department to Mr. Miller and the Board of Education for their support of athletics in the Mentor schools is A1. To Mr. Wade and the high school team that I'm a part of, couldn't ask for better people when it comes to supporting high school athletics. To my Hall of Fame committee, Mr. Makar and Mr. Lexak, who are here with me tonight, along with Larry Disbrow, Zell Marusik, and Jeff Geffert, who put this all together. I truly appreciate their efforts in recognizing the athletes of Mentor High School. To Rick Kraft and the Justin's Company, who put these great plaques together. They're so nice and they do a fantastic job, so I want to thank him. To the high school coaching staff, it's been said over and over again, I think we have one of the best coaching staffs in the state of Ohio. I really truly believe that throughout the years as well as what we have now. So I can't ask for anything more out of my coaching staff. So thank you to those people who made this night possible. If we can give them a round of applause, please. A couple of just brief announcements. Some of you might be wondering, and it's been said a couple of times, I'm not even sure how I got nominated. Well, there's lots of ways to nominate, but the main way, if you know somebody who you think is deserving of the Mentor High School Hall of Fame, the nomination form is at the Mentor Schools website, mentorschools.org. If you go there under the athletics link, you can nominate anybody who's out of Mentor High School for 7 years. Any team that's been gone for 7 years is eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. We encourage you to nominate people. We had quite a few, and it's a lot of work to go through them, but obviously the more the better. So we encourage people to nominate people to the Hall of Fame, and just going to the website, we'll be able to do that. We are also currently going to be needing and filling some vacancies on the Hall of Fame committee. The Hall of Fame committee is made up of Hall of Famers. So any Hall of Famers who are in the room and would like to be a part of the Hall of Fame selection committee, just shoot me an email and we could talk about that process. A couple things before the Hall of Famers leave here and we get our group picture. Please see me tonight, the members of the Hall of Fame, to get your tickets for the football game tomorrow night. You are going to be our guest, hopefully. Hopefully all of you can make it at the game tomorrow night as Coach Tribb takes care of Shaker Heights tomorrow night in our homecoming game. No pressure. No, but we are going to honor all members of the Hall of Fame in between the first and second quarters down on the track. So I'm going to ask you to join me down there at that time so we can introduce you to a much larger crowd than that's here tonight. So please see me. I'll probably be over here somewhere. I have tickets, as many as you need. All right. Also, and those of you if you remember back to high school, the big homecoming assembly is tomorrow morning, and the high school announcing the homecoming court and all that kind of fun stuff. The inductees, if you would like to come back and take a look at the Hall of Fame in the morning, you're more than welcome to. But it is open. Just let me know that you want to come by, and we'll show you around a little bit, and you can walk the halls of Mentor High again if you'd like to do that. One thing, I have always said this, and it was mentioned a couple times tonight. We have a saying, once a Cardinal, always a Cardinal. I truly appreciate everybody who's been a part of this tonight. You are always welcome back in this athletic department. I appreciate all your support. So at this time, we do ask that all of our inductees come back up with their plaques. We're going to put you on stage here. That includes all the team members, all the coaches, everybody. We'd like to do one large group picture. Thanks again for coming, and have a great evening.